Hudson here. Today we're going to look at another fundamental concept in the commercial real estate market, a gross rent multiplier or GRM. It seems that very few industry professionals use this as one of their bases for valuing a property, but I like it so that I can see if the expenses for a project are in line with where I think they should be. So a gross rent multiplier, as it sounds, only takes into account the gross rents and does not account for expenses on a project. But with that information, you can then look and see, are the expenses for the property in line with where they should be? Are they higher? Are they lower? And why? So let's dig into a little bit more of what a gross rent multiplier is, when you should use it, and when you should not. Here we go.
Mathematically, the gross rent multiplier, or GRM, is the value divided by the projected gross income. Seems simple enough, right? In my marketplace, sometimes it's challenging to get an accurate picture of what the expenses actually are for a property. So another way to assist with valuing my potential projects is I'll also look at the GRM, or gross rent multiplier. For example, let's look at a small apartment building. Assume you have 10 units, and each unit rents for $700 a month. That's a total of $7,000 per month, or $84,000 per year in potential income. Let's say the property is listed for $750,000. That's a gross rent multiplier of 8.93. What this equation tells us is that a property is valued at 8.93 times what it produces annually. Now the gross rent multiplier and the value are directly related. As the multiplier goes up, the value goes up. As we know from most any investment, the higher the return, the higher the risk. One important item to point out is that with a direct relation between the value and the multiplier, assuming all other things are equal, the lower the multiplier, potentially the higher the risk or return. As a side note, this valuation tool is tremendously useful for valuing a business when there isn't any real estate involved. I know that when I'm looking at valuing projects, I'll consider both the cap rate and the gross rent multiplier just to get a good range for values. Then, from there, I can dig into the analysis further and see if I think the income and expenses are appropriate for my purposes. Despite the ease of using the gross rent multiplier, there is one major drawback. Remember the formula, the value divided by the gross rents? Well, you're only looking at that for a single year and you're excluding all expenses related to the property. If a property is stabilized and expenses are in line with the marketplace, then the gross rent multiplier can be a great tool to compare values on the surface, but it's only on the surface. What happens if the property is completely outdated with costly heating systems, or the landlord has been including items such as utilities and cable with rent instead of billing separately? When we look at a healthy apartment today, having roughly a third of the income going back out in expenses is what we expect. But what if more than 60% of the gross rents are going out for basic expenses and operations? That definitely needs to be considered in the big picture. Luckily, we have other tools to dig into more complete valuations, so this one is just the start. Simple valuations such as a gross rent multiplier and cap rates are only snapshots that account for a single year. Anytime you're dealing with a property that has irregular cash flows or a complex income stream, the only way to yield a reliable valuation is from the internal rate of return, or IRR, with a full discounted cash flow analysis. We'll discuss IRR in a future video.
So thanks for watching. If you need a better place to invest your money or you want to take another look at a scenario, give me a call or shoot me an email. I'll be happy to help you dig into the numbers and see what really makes sense. Also, if you know anyone who may enjoy this video, please forward or share this with your friends. Thank you so much and have a great day.